Rain hammered gently against the tall glass windows of Vale Industries, turning the entire skyline into a blurred watercolor. Evelyn Harper stood outside the penthouse office of Adrian Vale, her palms damp and her heart pounding loud enough to drown out the storm. She had spent years admiring him quietly, the brilliant billionaire CEO with perfect posture, a perfect voice, and the perfectly cold personality to match. She knew his routines, his coffee preference, the exact way he aligned his cufflinks before a meeting. But today was different. Today she had confessed her feelings. She had rehearsed every word, every breath. She had hoped, stupidly, maybe, that he might see the warmth she had always offered him, the loyalty, the respect, the quiet love. Instead, she now stood in front of him, watching his expression harden into the polished mask he wore so effortlessly. Adrian exhaled slowly, as if her confession had inconvenienced him more than moved him. "Evelyn," he said, voice low, controlled, almost gentle, but not enough to disguise the blow that followed. "You're wonderful, truly, but not the kind of woman I can stand beside at high-level events." The words sliced through her like cold glass. Not the kind of woman, not good enough, not presentable enough. His eyes didn't waver. He believed every word he said. Something inside Evelyn, something soft and hopeful, cracked. For a moment, she couldn't breathe. Not because of the rejection, but because it echoed a wound far older than Adrian. A faint flash lit up in her memory. A boy from her childhood, smiling at her in a sunlit garden. "You're beautiful," he had said. And the next day, he had been gone forever, taken in an accident that her young mind had interpreted as punishment for believing in beauty. The word beautiful had cursed her since then. A promise that always ended in pain. Adrian's rejection wasn't just rejection. It was confirmation of a belief she had carried her whole life. She was never enough. Evelyn lowered her head politely, always polite, always composed, and walked out of the office as the rain intensified. When the elevator doors closed, Evelyn finally let her face crumble. Tears blurred her vision as storm clouds pressed against the windows beside her. She left the building without an umbrella, letting the rain soak into her clothes, her hair, and the hurt she could no longer hide. It was easier to let the sky cry with her than to pretend she didn't feel broken. The city lights smeared into streaks of color as she walked aimlessly. Every sound, distant honking, rushing footsteps, rumbling thunder, faded behind the roaring storm inside her chest. Not the kind of woman. Adrian's voice echoed over and over again, each repetition heavier than the last. By evening, she ducked into a quiet, half-lit cafe to escape the worst of the downpour. She didn't notice the man at the small corner table until her soggy shoes slipped on the wet floor and sent her stumbling forward. A hand shot out, catching her elbow before she fell. "Whoa, easy there. The floor's plotting your downfall," the stranger said, his tone warm and amused. Evelyn blinked, startled. The man had messy brown hair, sharp green eyes, and an expression that managed to look both mischievous and sympathetic at the same time. A laptop sat open in front of him, half buried under scattered sketches and coffee cups. "Sorry," Evelyn muttered, brushing her hair back. "I didn't see. I wasn't paying attention." "Clearly," he teased lightly. "But in your defense, you look like you've survived a dramatic scene from the telenovela. Everything okay?" His voice was casual, but his eyes held real concern. Evelyn opened her mouth, then closed it again. What was she supposed to say? "No, actually, the man I've loved for years basically told me I'm too chubby to be good enough for him." Instead, she offered a weak smile. "I'm fine. Just long day." "I can see that." The stranger gestured to the empty chair across from him. "Sit. You look like you need warmth, caffeine, and possibly a therapist. I can only provide one of those things." A shaky laugh escaped her, the first in hours. She sat. "I'm Liam," he said. "Evelyn. Nice to meet you." Evelyn, who clearly had a terrible day. His eyes shifted to the faint sketchbook poking out of her bag. You draw? She nodded, surprised. My work, I'm a designer. His expression brightened entirely, a spark of genuine excitement. A designer? That's amazing. What kind of designs? Fashion, she whispered. Dresses, mostly. Evening wear. Liam leaned forward, elbows on the table, openly impressed. You make dresses? Real ones, not just pretty Pinterest mood boards. Real ones, she said, unable to hide a shy smile. That's incredible. Seriously, that's talent. You should be proud. Evelyn swallowed hard. Those words felt foreign, unfamiliar. Adrian had never said anything like that to her. The cafe lights flickered softly as the storm outside quieted. Liam watched her thoughtfully for a moment, tapping his fingers lightly against the table. Evelyn, he said gently, forgive me if I'm too direct, but whoever made you walk into a storm looking like you lost a battle with your own heart doesn't deserve you. Her breath caught. He didn't know the story, but somehow he understood. Liam's tone softened even further. If someone can't see your brilliance, he said, eyes warm, they're simply standing in the wrong light. The words slipped into her chest and settled there. Warm, steady, nothing like the sharp sting Adrian left behind. For the first time that day, for the first time in a long time, Evelyn felt something shift inside her. Not healed yet, but beginning. A quiet, trembling beginning. The next few weeks passed in a blur of fabric rolls, half-finished sketches, spilled coffee, and unexpected laughter. After their first meeting, Liam didn't disappear or fade into the background like most people did. Instead, he became a solid, reliable presence, one who kept showing up at the right moment with an encouraging smile or a fresh idea. Evelyn, you need your own studio, he had said only a week later, leaning back in his chair with the confidence of a man making impossible things sound normal. Your talent is bigger than whatever corner office Adrian shoved you in. She blinked. My own studio? Liam, that's huge. It's expensive and risky and absolutely worth it, he replied without hesitation. That's 3 reasons for it, not against it. His certainty caught off guard. No one had ever believed in her abilities with such ease. Within days, he helped her secure a small workspace downtown, a former photography loft with high windows and concrete floors. It wasn't fancy, but it was hers, a blank canvas waiting for color. Liam and Evelyn spent long nights cleaning, painting, arranging sewing machines, testing lights, and setting up design boards. Sometimes he played upbeat music. Sometimes he told ridiculous jokes just to make her break into a reluctant smile. And sometimes, when she caught him watching her sketch with quiet admiration, Evelyn felt her heart flutter in a way that scared her. They worked side by side until dawn many nights, shoulders brushing occasionally, fingers grazing when passing scissors or measuring tape. Just tiny sparks of chemistry. Nothing overwhelming, but impossible to ignore. And slowly, as each day passed, her confidence grew. Her collections became bolder, her ideas sharper, her hands steadier, her heart lighter. Word spread quickly in the fashion world. Clients came, then more clients, then influential ones, socialites, high-end event planners, boutique owners, even a few billionaire spouses who adored her designs. For the first time in her life, Evelyn felt like she was stepping into the version of herself she had always been meant to become. Liam noticed. You're glowing, he said one afternoon, leaning against the doorway as she fitted a dress on a mannequin. I think success likes you. She blushed, pretending to focus on adjusting a sleeve. Or maybe I just stopped letting failure define me. Liam grinned. That too. One evening, they stayed late again, The studio buzzed with soft yellow light while the city outside hummed with distant traffic. Evelyn worked on a delicate gown, soft blue silk layered with hand-embroidered details, while Liam sat nearby reviewing business emails. But the atmosphere was different tonight, quieter, more fragile. It was one of those rare breath scenes where the world slows down and everything unsaid rises to the surface. Liam noticed her silence first. "You okay?" he asked gently, closing his laptop. "You've been staring at that stitch for 5 minutes." She blinked, startled. I'm fine, really, But the words didn't come. Instead, a tremor of vulnerability crossed her face, the kind she usually hid. Liam didn't push. He simply walked over, sat beside her, and waited. He offered presence, not pressure. Evelyn's fingers stilled on the fabric. "Liam," her voice cracked softly. "Can I tell you something? Something I've never explained to anyone?" His expression softened instantly. "I'm here. Tell me." Her eyes lowered, focusing on the glimmer of the dress. "It's about why Adrian's rejection hurt so much. It wasn't just because he didn't want me." Liam nodded slowly, silently encouraging her to continue. "It goes back to when I was a kid." Her throat tightened, but she forced herself to speak clearly. "There was a boy. He was my first love, and the last person who ever called me beautiful." Liam stiffened a little at the word, sensing the weight it carried. Evelyn swallowed hard. "The day after he said it, he died. A freak accident. I was only 10, but my mind linked his compliment to what happened. As if being called beautiful comes with punishment. As if it invites tragedy." She paused, her breath shaky. "That word became cursed for me. I've avoided it my whole life. I never let myself believe it. And when Adrian rejected me, saying I wasn't the kind of woman he could show the world." She exhaled painfully. "It felt like confirmation of the curse, like I was right to keep myself small." Liam's jaw tightened, not with anger at her trauma, but at the people who'd made it worse. He reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away if she wished. When she didn't, he gently placed his hand over hers. "Evelyn," he said quietly, "what happened to that boy was tragedy, not your fault. And the way Adrian treated you, that was his weakness, not yours." Her eyes shimmered, pain and gratitude mixing. Liam squeezed her hand softly. "You don't need to believe you're beautiful, not yet. But I want you to believe this. Your worth isn't defined by what anyone said or didn't say." For the first time, Evelyn didn't flinch at the word beautiful. Because Liam didn't use it carelessly. He used it with care, gently, cautiously, respectfully. She let out a shaky breath, feeling something inside her unwind. While Evelyn's studio flourished, Adrian Vale's empire began to show the opposite pattern. News articles whispered about poor leadership decisions. Investors grumbled about outdated strategies. Competitors scooped up opportunities he dismissed. Adrian's arrogance, once his greatest power, became the source of his downfall. He doubled down, demanded more from exhausted employees, and refused to adapt to new market trends. Each failure chipped at his pride, and then came the moment that truly rattled him. At a high-profile industry event, someone praised a designer whose work had caught the attention of billionaires and celebrities alike. "Evelyn Harper?" the guest said excitedly. "Oh, she's brilliant. Her studio is the rising star of the season." Adrian froze. Evelyn, his former employee. The woman he rejected. He hadn't realized she'd left him behind this quickly. He definitely hadn't expected her to surpass him. A dark, unfamiliar feeling settled in Adrian's chest. Regret mixed with fear. Something he'd never felt before. The confrontation happened on a day that began perfectly normal. Evelyn and Liam were in the studio, reviewing new sketches and laughing over a ridiculous joke Liam had made about how mannequins looked judgmental. Evelyn snorted. "Stop it. You're going to make me ruin this hemline." "Blame the mannequin," Liam said, pointing at it. It definitely started it. Their laughter filled the room, warm, easy, unfiltered, which is exactly what Adrian walked into. The door swung open without warning. Evelyn gasped. Liam straightened, instantly alert. Adrian stood in the doorway, raincoat draped over his shoulders, expression sharp and unreadable. He stared at Evelyn, really stared, as if seeing her for the first time. Her confidence, her success, her glow, everything he once dismissed. "Evelyn," he said, voice tight, "we need to talk." Liam stepped forward, protective. "She doesn't need to do anything, Vale. You barged in without even knocking." Adrian's jaw clenched. "And you are? Someone who actually appreciates her," Liam shot back. Tension crackled through the room like electricity. Evelyn raised her hands, trying to steady the moment. "Both of you, stop. What do you want, Adrian?" Adrian's gaze flickered between them, between her success and Liam's presence. The combination hit him like a wound. "I saw your designs," Adrian said, voice tight with emotion he couldn't control. "You're working with my clients, my network." "They're my clients now," Evelyn replied calmly. "I earned them." Adrian stepped closer. "You should have talked to me. I would have helped you, guided you." Evelyn laughed, short, bitter. "You had your chance to support me. You chose not to." Liam's voice sharpened. "She doesn't need your approval anymore." Adrian whipped toward him. "You seem awfully involved. What exactly is your relationship with Evelyn?" The implication stung. The suggestion that Evelyn needed someone to lift her up or speak for her. Her own voice cut through the room suddenly, strong and trembling all at once. "Adrian, whatever you think you're seeing, you're wrong," she said. "What you're actually seeing is me. The real me. The version you never valued." Silence. Heavy, suffocating, final. Adrian's expression crumbled for the first time. A flash of regret, raw and unfiltered, crossed his face. But the damage was already done. The Grand Aurora Gala shimmered like a universe made of glass and diamonds. Crystal chandeliers flooded the ballroom with warm golden light. Lavish gowns swirled across the marble floors. Elite billionaires chatted over champagne as classical music floated through the air. Evelyn Harper walked through the entrance alone. The moment she stepped inside, every head turned. Her dress, a signature piece from her own collection, glowed with delicate silver embroidery that caught the light with every movement. Her posture was elegant, confident, and unshakably calm. Not the shy, uncertain woman who once stood trembling in Adrian Vale's office. Tonight she wasn't just attending the gala. She was one of the featured designers, the emerging star whose brand was shaking the foundations of the fashion world. As she walked deeper into the ballroom, a wave of pride washed over her. She had made it, on her own, and she had done it without ever dimming her light again. Unknown to her, Adrian Vale stood across the room. He watched her enter with a stunned, breathless silence. She no longer fit the mold he once tried to put her in. She had outgrown it so completely that he barely recognized the woman she had become. But he recognized the regret tightening in his chest. Evelyn was speaking with a well-known philanthropist when she felt a familiar presence behind her. That particular shift in the air, sharp, cold, tense, could have only belonged to Adrian Vale. She turned slowly. Adrian stood there in a tailored suit, looking immaculate as always. But his eyes held something she had never seen in him, raw guilt. "Evelyn," he said softly, "may I speak with you?" Evelyn excused herself politely and stepped aside. Her expression remained neutral, calm, the kind of self-possession he had never allowed her to show when she worked under him. Adrian took a breath as though preparing to confess to something enormous. "You look," he hesitated. Evelyn's gaze hardened instantly. He quickly corrected himself. "You look successful, confident. Everything I never let myself see." The statement stung him more than her. He swallowed. "I owe you the truth. About everything. About the rejection. About why I did it." She said nothing. Her silence forced him to continue. I rejected you because I was afraid, he admitted. Afraid of what people would say is the perfect Adrian Vale. Dated someone who didn't fit the image I thought I needed. There it was. The truth she always suspected, but never heard. Adrian's voice grew brittle with regret. You were brilliant, loyal, talented beyond measure, and I couldn't handle that you made me feel. His jaw clenched. Human, vulnerable. So I pushed you away, not because you weren't enough, but because I wasn't. His eyes glistened, though no tears fell. I was wrong, Evelyn, so terribly wrong. I lost the best thing that ever stood in front of me. For a moment, Evelyn simply stared at him. Years of silent pain swirled behind her eyes. Rejection, insecurity, grief, childhood trauma. Every moment she believed she was unworthy, but now she understood something clearly. Adrian's apology had nothing to do with her healing. It had everything to do with his loss. Evelyn exhaled slowly. Her voice stayed steady, not cold, but firm enough to protect her heart. Adrian, she began, you didn't just reject me. You made me believe my worth depended on how well I fit someone else's expectations. His face paled. You took my affection and used it to measure my flaws. You made my body seem like something to be ashamed of. Her voice strengthened. And worst of all, you made me doubt my own talent, my own brilliance, my own light. Adrian's expression shattered. I know, he whispered, and I'm sorry. I'll spend the rest of my life regretting how I treated you. Evelyn continued, no longer trembling. You didn't break me, not completely, but you did contribute to a wound that I carried since childhood. A wound about beauty and loss and judgment. And you amplified it. Silence thickened between them. Then a familiar voice approached from behind. Evelyn? Liam asked gently. Everything okay? He didn't interrupt or try to save her. He simply stood beside her, steady, warm, supportive, the way he always had. And that presence alone said more than any speech. Adrian stared at the two of them. The realization hit him. Liam had become everything he was too afraid to be. And Evelyn had blossomed into someone he could never reach anymore. Evelyn placed a hand over her heart, a symbolic gesture of taking ownership of herself. Adrian, she said gently but firmly, I forgive you. His eyes widened in disbelief. But not for you, for me. Her voice softened, warm but unshakable. I'm done carrying the weight of what you saw or didn't see. I'm done believing I'm less than someone else's ideal. And I'm done letting the word beautiful, or the lack of it, define me. Adrian's shoulders slumped in defeat. He nodded, accepting the truth he could not undo. Evelyn turned to Liam, whose eyes held nothing but admiration, real, honest, unwavering. She felt safe with him. Seen. Understood. Evelyn, Liam murmured gently, we don't have to say anything. I just want you to know, I don't see you as talented for someone your size, or for someone who tries hard. I see you as extraordinary, unique, unrepeatable, in ways that don't need any special word. Evelyn's throat tightened. Liam had always shown her care, never forcing labels or dangerous compliments. His actions had always been enough. Later that night, after the gala program ended, Evelyn and Liam slipped out to the garden behind the venue. The night was cool, the air soft, and small lanterns cast warm light across blooming flowers. A peaceful silence wrapped around them. Evelyn inhaled deeply. Liam, she whispered, there's still something I need to say, something I need to let go of. He turned toward her, attentive. It's about that word, she said quietly. Beautiful. Liam's gaze softened immediately. I'm listening. When that boy called me that, and then died the next day, I decided the word was cursed. So I never let anyone say it to me again. I never let myself believe it. Her voice trembled. But with you, I don't feel that fear. I feel safe. Liam stepped closer, slowly, giving her time. He lifted his hand gently and cupped her face, tender, respectful, grounding. Then, he whispered, brushing his thumb across her cheek, "Let me give you a new meaning for it." Evelyn's breath hitched. "You are beautiful, Evelyn. Not because of how you look, or what you create, or how strong you are, but because you exist, because you survived, because you shine now." The word, spoken with love, not danger, struck her heart softly, like sunlight breaking through clouds. And for the first time in her life, it didn't hurt. It healed. Evelyn closed her eyes, letting the meaning sink into her bones. And when she opened them again, she whispered, "I'm ready to believe you." Liam smiled, warm, relieved, quietly joyful, and pulled her into a gentle embrace. The curse was gone. The fear was gone. She had reclaimed herself. 6 months later, Evelyn's brand, Harper & Light, had expanded internationally. Her designs appeared in magazines, red carpet events, and private billionaire galas. Everywhere she went, people recognized her brilliance. She and Liam worked side by side, laughing as often as they argued about fabric choices. Their relationship had grown into something warm, playful, and deeply trusting. No drama, no fear. Just two people who chose each other every day. At one of her largest fashion shows, the audience erupted with applause as her newest collection dazzled the runway. Adrian Vale sat quietly in the back row. No resentment, no entitlement, just a quiet acceptance and a bittersweet admiration. He applauded too, sincerely, not because he wanted her back, but because he finally understood her value and his own mistakes. Evelyn didn't look at him for long, just long enough to let him know she wished him peace. Her eyes then moved to Liam, who stood backstage, grinning at her like she had just rewritten the stars. And she realized she was happy, truly happy, healed, loved, successful, and finally able to see herself the way she always deserved. Worthy, beautiful, unbreakable. And so her story closed, not with regret, but with light. Thank you so much for listening to this story. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit like, share it with someone who loves emotional twists, and subscribe for more powerful stories like this. And if you want more chapters or similar tales, drop a comment below. Your support means everything.